You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 163, Remembering Ray Fenwick. And coming to you from the unseasonably warm suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the Windy City, which today is the suburbs of Providence, because the trees were bending in half when the wind was blowing, John, Windows Update Matola. Yes, I'm 20 minutes late because my computer always hates me. But here I am.
Yeah, you have to restart in the morning before you leave for work or something. Get those stupid updates out of the way.
You know, I've tried that, but it's like, it just seems to be like, you know what, I'm going to wait. I know that this isn't when I should be doing the updates. I think my computer is self-aware.
Yeah, maybe Windows is like, we're going to release the updates at like 5:30 p.m. on Mondays, or like half an hour before these guys record.
Maybe it's set for that. Maybe it's like the default and I have to go in and, change that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes there's ones where you can just say, well, I'll update it later. And some of them like, no, you must do it now. And then they shut your computer down, which is annoying.
Well,
but there you go. There you have it. John has got a new setup there. He's been on every podcast, and he's been all around the whole block of podcasts in the past week. I'm only recording 2 podcasts this week. You recorded like 3 last week.
Yeah, well, I'm a podcast hoe.
John Podcast Ho Matola.
I'm podcasting around.
Oh man, this guy really gets around. Hey folks, if you want to help people discover our show, if you want to help support our show, if you receive value from our show and want to give a little value back, there's a number of ways you can do it. 1 is by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. 2, buy some merch at our Etsy store. 3, become a patron on Patreon or PayPal for as little as $1 a month. You can help support our show. And then, of course, you can donate using Cash App at $DPPOD. That's DP Pod on Cash App. We're accepting. You will be the first one. Probably no one's ever going to use it. Everyone's using everything else, which is fine. I just thought I was going to get cute and use a new service, and that's fine. It's probably we're just way too old to have anybody using that service. It's for the youngsters. So speaking of support for our show, we want to take this chance at the beginning of the show to thank our executive level patrons coming in at the $25 Uncommon Man tier. We have Ovis Nakvi. At the $15 Light in the Black tier, we have Gerald Kelly. At the £10 tier, Dr. Jill Brees. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Alan Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and Mikkel Steen. And at the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Gerald Kelly. Oops, sorry, we mentioned him already in a different tier. Victor Compost, Better Call Saul Evans, and Kev Roberts and his wonderful children, Matthew, Gareth, and Sarah. Thank you to the whole Roberts clan for their support. Hey, we don't have any new patrons this week, but we do have this.
Hey-o.
That's right, folks. I think this might be a second or third time writing a review, but he's got a craving for the Flexitone, and that is, of course, Jasor. Thank you for writing a review. Like I said, we said before the stream got started here, we are live streaming this episode. So we got a few folks on the stream. We were talking about it beforehand, and I think he's gaming the system a little bit to get some of that Flexitone. But hey, there's nothing in the rule book so far that says you can't do that. So thank you for writing in. So Jasor says, coming into us from Russia, 5 stars. The title is, I'll become a patron the second I get to own a credit card. Review is, speaks for itself, really. It's a show you want to support, and it's definitely worth supporting. Every week you get something different, be it experiencing something new, which is how it's been for me most of the time, or reviewing a classic moment in DP extended family history. Also, every 5-star review will be treated to Nate channeling his inner Mark Nossif, like you heard just now. So don't hesitate, fellow listeners. Thanks again, Jay. Well, thanks, Jasor. Appreciate it. Jasor is on the live stream first live stream. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for writing another 5-star review. And that's how you get treated to the Flexitone, folks. It's a great tutorial for all you folks out there who are looking to donate to the show. It's very, very important stuff. Okay, so one thing we got to get to here is we do have a special segment here. Something that we have to discuss. Something that's happened recently. If you're on the patron only Discord, and that's worth noting, I guess, if you're a patron, you get access to our patrons only Discord. You get access to our rating spreadsheets, to name a few benefits that you get for the show. But right now we have to talk about something a little interesting, and that is postcards from the edge of Connecticut. And this one is coming to us. It's not really a postcard. It's not a physical postcard, but we're announcing our first ever spin-off show from the Deep Purple podcast. It's a new podcast, brand new, as in like brand new, I think yesterday or the day before. And it is from our patrons, Peter Gardeau and Mark Roback. They started their own show, and it's called 70s Weekly Countdown with Mark and Pete. And listen to the first episode. It is great. It's a lot of fun. And I guess they were inspired kind of by Peter's idea when he was on the show about reviewing the charts, and they're just kind of going through the charts and talking it. Two old friends talking. If you like this show because of two old friends talking, well, then it's very similar feeling over there. Two old friends, great chemistry, running through the charts, making a lot of great information about the songs, and just a lot of good banter. So you have to check it out. And what could be better than, listening to the Gardeau and the Roback discuss hits from the 70s?
The Roback. Everybody will just be the something.
Exactly.
So what are we talking about today, the Beaudry?
The Beaudry. Well, today we are talking about none other than the late great Ray Fenwick. So last week, actually a week ago today, we got the news that he had passed away. He actually passed away on April 30th. And 1 year to the day after he released this career retrospective 3 CD set, 60 plus songs, came out April 30th, 2021. He passed away April 30th, 2022. And yeah, I had been in correspondence with him, and we had him on the show as a guest, and we did an interview a while back. And yeah, I gotta say, like, often celebrity sort of deaths don't faze me too much, but this one kind of felt, it felt obviously personal because, like, we've actually chatted with him. We had him, he's on our show for a good amount of time. We chatted before and after the show. And we've been in touch since, if he's had stuff coming out. And it just was really sad because it was one of those things, like, I always just figured, oh yeah, we'll keep in touch and he'll come on again someday and we'll do this and that. And sadly that wasn't to pass. So really, really sad news. Really glad he got to put together this really nice set. You should definitely pick it up if you like what you hear tonight, or if you already are a fan. It's got great stuff from all over the place, and give you a little taste of his many, from the 60s through the 2020s, all the stuff that he's worked on. It's just incredible. So yeah, it was kind of a bummer because it's somebody who I really looked up to and respected, and was an influence on me for years and years. And I know he's not a household name like it's not like a Tom Cruise level where it's going to hit the cover of USA Today, but it's someone to us who's really important and really special, and ended up being one hell of a guy when you meet him. So yeah, any I don't know, do you have any memories from our chat with him, or just kind of over the years? What are some of your favorites from him?
It's probably going to be, sound terrible to say, but I don't have too many memories, not because he wasn't, important to, Deep Purple history. I don't think his work was good, because it was. It's just didn't have as much of an impact on me as some other, of the Purple family, but still, a loss, because the work that we've heard from him has, been great. He was great, instrumental part of the Ian Gillan band. And yeah, I'm not as familiar with his solo stuff, even though um, we reviewed one of his albums, right?
I think we played one of his songs. I don't think we did stuff with Fancy. And we
Right.
did
But his solo, didn't he have the solo album like with the billboard? I can't remember the name of it.
Keep America Beautiful, Get a Haircut.
Right. We didn't review that one, right? You were just like,
no, but I think we may have, like, in the very early days, played one of the tracks off of it, and I've got a track on that for this episode as well. Trying to cover just kind of as much ground as possible. So in the Rich is still looking for takers in the chat to join with him to do the Deep Purple podcast where they review our episode every week. So if you're interested in that fruitless endeavor, you can connect with Rich in the chat today. And I get that going. But I think, like, growing up, my main influence from him would have been Wizards Convention and Butterfly Ball, obviously, and then also the Ian Gillan band stuff. But then one of the things that I've got a bunch of them back there, a bunch of the CDs of the Spencer Davis group albums, which I really, really liked. And I don't remember. I think I really got them because of Eddie Hardin, but Eddie Hardin and Ray Fenwick are both in that band, and I really, really dug them, and there's some of them that I listened to a lot. So we can start it off with one of his oldest tracks, and this is so I'm trying to kind of pick some highlights from some of the stuff that's important in his catalog that would resonate with a lot of folks that are fans, but then also a few deeper cuts and things that he was famous for. And one of the songs that he was really that really put him into the minds of a lot of people was this track, which is Crawdaddy Simone. So I think you might remember. I'm pretty sure he talked about that when we had him on the show. But here we go. My sharing doesn't seem to want to work. Oh, here we go. Maybe this will work. Yeah, there we go. So here it is. This is Crawdaddy Simone. This is from him with the Syndicats. Was his trade. So very a seller of lies. The very of its time. So cold. He seemed to hypnotize. He always walks alone. Crawdaddy Simone. So this band was formed in the early 60s, like 63.
Sounds like it.
That like slap back on that hit in the beginning sounded like it was like I was getting a bleed in from the it was slapping back so much I thought I had something routed wrong here. So according to this was 1965. This was Joe Meek, who would have produced like Ritchie's early stuff with the Outlaws.
And I think the thing with
the scaffolding.
I think the thing with Ray is that I was definitely into his music and his playing, like, as part of the Deep Purple history, but he's one of those musicians that, he's probably on a ton of stuff that I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
On it. Like, if you ask me today to list who was on all the tracks on like the Wizards Convention, I'm not going to know, but, or Butterfly Ball or Ian Gillan band, like, I'm not going to know any of that stuff offhand.
That's what they got Wikipedia for.
Yeah.
This is like, you can tell this was recorded, like, it's really distorting.
Yeah, for a minute I was just like, I thought maybe there was something wrong with my headphones.
It was going to blow. I have it like at the super low volume, and it was like blowing my eardrums out. Rich is thanking us in the chat for preemptively plugging his Deep Purple podcast.
Very creative idea.
Well, if you want to know what it's like to have, wouldn't it be great if he had more listeners than we do? He's like, guys, what are your numbers? And we tell him, he's like, oh, that's like 25% what I'm doing. With me and somebody else in the chat here.
Sounds like me when I play slide. It sounds a little out of control.
Exactly.
Some of that 60s stuff is just it's out there, man.
Yeah, exactly. That was like that Joe Meek style of just like crazy. So Michael in the chat's suggesting that we're pronouncing Ray's name wrong now. I don't know. But yeah, I'm hoping not. But we've tried to narrow it down. Yeah, Jonathan's right. It did sound like his slide work sounded like the flexitone. It did sound a lot like that. But yeah, great little early number by Ray. The next one I've got here is from his album that John was just referencing. So this one is called, where is it? This one is the first track off of his Keep America Beautiful, Get a Haircut album. And this one is called Stateside. So this is a cool album.
Well, no, if that song was ultra 60s, this is ultra 70s.
Yeah, and this was just I think it came out in 71, if I'm not mistaken. Great. I just always loved the groove on this album.
Very nice.
That's what came out in November of 71.
I mean, it sounds like it came right out of lifted right off the soundtrack of like a blaxploitation movie.
Yep.
Like, here comes Blackula.
And this one's like interesting when you look at the actual album cover. It's one of those like, what do you call it? Like Captain Beyond style, where this song is Stateside. It's got 3 parts. Part 1 is Mr. Straight, part 2 is The American Way, and part 3 is Jesus Song. So I guess we're in the first part here. They loved to do that back then. I think when we talked to him, he mentioned that this, I think it's like all real trippy.
You know, you can hear little bits of like what he did with Gillan too. You can tell that he was a main influence in the writing in that band.
So he had mentioned when we talked to him that there was like a mural or something at the hotel that they were staying at. I'll have to listen back to the interview, where they had something like that said like "Keep America Beautiful, Get a Haircut," and that's where you get the idea for the album.
Mm-hmm.
But you got all these long-haired, shaggy, like Vietnam-era soldiers running past the billboard, and the billboard's a giant picture of Ray Fenwick sitting there cross-legged on the billboard. Now you hear like a horn section playing the national anthem in the back. Well, our national anthem. Michael in chat saying this is similar to Cut the Cake by Average White Band. That's cool. You used to have an Average White Band album, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, the one where the
W is the
one where
ass.
the W was the woman's ass.
Yeah.
Actually, Pops had that one.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's where you got it from.
Yeah, that was one of his. Yeah. I think I wound up buying the CD eventually.
He just casually said, "Son, kill the hippies."
Was he vocalist too? Or was it somebody else?
This lists guitars and vocals by Ray Fenwick. It says bass is D. Murray, drums Nigel Olson, steel guitar B.J. Cole, Peter York on percussion, Eddie Hardin on organ. So this is a pretty good. So it's in parts it's the Spencer Davis group minus Spencer Davis.
That's some fat bass.
Yeah, it's so good. This sounds like Funk 49, where they have like all their keys and stuff, and their change in their pockets, and they're shaking it all.
Some fat percussion too. This whole track is fat. P-H-A-T. P-H-A-T.
Okay. Song really takes you on a cool journey. That's why I just really like this album. You know, it's like it's an 8-minute opening cut on an album, but it goes all over the place. And if they didn't say what the parts were, you could just list this as 3 different songs, two just blending into each other. So Nigel Olson, he played drums for Elton John. He played drums for Uriah Heep briefly. Very George Harrison sounding right there. Can't get enough of that.
Wow, that's some wild bass.
We've reviewed so many albums now where we listen to stuff and we're just like, it's just not gel. It doesn't sound like there's chemistry and it's not gelling. And like this is like so the opposite of that. These guys, even though this is the best I can tell, so it's just constant making fun of Americans, which I'm totally down for. Totally deserved. But yeah, this sounds like a group of people that's really comfortable playing together, and it's probably because you know a lot of these guys did play together in Spencer Davis group.
Well, because there are definitely no slouches here,
Nope.
as was pointed out in the chat.
Just so in the chat has pointed that out. Just kicks right into it. But here we are almost 7 minutes in, and so far no real like crazy guitar solos.
I'd like to hear Ian Gillan sing over this.
Oh yeah, imagine what he'd come up with.
Although these vocals are really good.
I really like Ray as a singer. We'll hear him on a few other tracks today, obviously, but he has like that ultimate like 70s singer voice.
Yeah. See, that sounds like a Gillan part.
I love it.
Oh, ooh, just ending it on that dissonant note.
Yeah, if you threw in some flexitone and some like rototoms, that would be an Ian Gillan band. It could pass for an Ian Gillan band, and like one of Colin Towns' kooky little patches, like so, like some like one of his little cool patches he uses would be so great.
I'd say that was pretty long, but I agree that you said it's quite a journey. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
nine Captain Beyond songs in that amount of time, but but it was split up into those three parts. It was really cool. All right, so next one I got up here. Let's see here. So this is an interesting one. So this is something that I'd heard, but I didn't make this connection because if you grew up in the UK, this is probably something that you grew up listening to. And when we posted something about this, there was a lot of folks that were, I'd say maybe 10 years older than us, 10, 15 years older than us, that remember this song from the show Magpie, which was like a British show, like a British kids show, that was on basically in the late 60s. So yeah, it would have been people that were like 10, 15 years, maybe even 20 years older than us, depending on how late into your childhood you watched the show. But this is a little half-hour kids show. So as with all good good shows on the BBC, I grew up watching a different show that had this beginning, and that was Danger Mouse. But it starts off with this. Which I've seen about a million times. And then that goes right into the Magpie opening. Oops, is that the right one? No, it would have been this one. This is the actual. One for sorrow, two for joy, three for a girl and four for a boy, five for silver, six for gold, seven for a secret never to be told. Eight's a wish and nine a kiss, 10 is a bird you must not miss. Eight's a wish and nine a kiss, 10 is a bird you must not miss. Turns into this very like day in the life sort of sound towards that little end section. That's a pretty badass theme song for a show. And then if you grew up watching the show, you're probably super, like, you hear that and it probably conjures up these amazing nostalgic memories. But there's even more of a song to it. So it's actually a whole song by the Murgatroyd Band, which is actually just Spencer Davis group with a different name. But you remember, like, growing up when all kids shows had badass music like this?
Yep.
Like the 70s Sesame Street music was incredible. Electric Company, Schoolhouse Rock, those are the songs that are the shows that we kind of grew up on that had similar awesome music. So I don't know how it came about that they just were offered this gig to write this, but Ray wrote it with I don't know if he wrote it solo or if he wrote it with I think he wrote it with Eddie Harding. So this kind of reminds me like what it must be like, when have you ever heard like the full song for like Family Ties or Golden Girls or something? You hear the full, like, there's an actual song that's like 3 minutes long. It's like weird hearing the rest of it.
Sounds like something would be in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like an old nursery rhyme that they.
But like these are all the, like these could be all the people in the temple singing and like
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I don't
that's
know
like Pilate is singing to him or something, or one of the priests.
No, I totally would fit in there.
It's got that vibe to it. I mean, not surprising. It's probably around the same time frame, right?
I think this was written and recorded in '68.
I mean, close enough.
But the show went until 1980.
Wow.
So even folks our age would have probably grown up with it, but it did not make it to the US, sadly. Nice. Well, there you go. A little magpie for you. Here's a magpie for you. So speaking of Spencer Davis, so like I said, I got all those Spencer Davis group albums behind me. And one of my favorite Spencer Davis group albums, or probably my favorite one, is the album Glugo. And here's just an awesome song that actually reminds me of a song that you wrote. And I would like to hear your take on it when we get to it, to see if you know which song I'm talking about. But let me switch monitors here. Let me get this song up for you. Here's another Ray Fenwick song for you. And this one is called The Screw. Nice heavy track.
Well, if you're comparing this to something that I wrote, I'm very humbled. Wrote anything this good in my life.
I've been playing ever since Ray passed away. I've been playing this album around the house, so now my kids are running around singing this one. But they're just not singing at school.
Just the ones you wanted to go out and repeat in the outside world.
This song always really stuck out to me on this album. The opening track and this one are probably my two favorites. It's just badass. I just like songs where they're just, we got an attitude about them. And I love that. I don't know if it's Spencer Davis singing and it's like Eddie Harden just like yells a little thing in the background. People that jive me. It's great singing a song complaining about people jiving you.
People don't have that problem today.
Yeah, nobody gets jived anymore. I guess it's a good thing. We've eliminated jiving. Jonathan's saying that they did a lot of 70s kids shows deep into the 90s over there. And a character was called the Smoking Mr. Apple.
That sounds so unhealthy.
Listen, apples are healthy.
But a smoking apple?
Does a smoking apple keep the doctor away, or just a regular apple? Yeah, just sort of saying it's a punk-like chorus on this one. That's what I like about it, even though I'm not a big punk fan. But it's got that attitude. So the song I'm thinking about that you wrote is called Word Gets Around. And it actually sounds pretty similar to this, which is odd because I don't think you ever got this album. I got it after you had written that song.
I mean, I was inspired by songs from this era. So, was that?
That was the song you wrote all about people from work. all the shit people at your work were doing and saying. Basically about all the drama at work.
But
And you were
what
just basically
I
telling them all to go screw off. And it was like kind of the same. It was kind of the same. It's funny because it sounds like you were inspired by the song, which I know you weren't, but it also has that same kind of attitude, which is like my son's playing Fur Elise upstairs on the piano, so sorry about that. And it has that same kind of attitude and that same kind of like just punk sort of feel to it. So
but I mean, I'm like, I remember it, but did I record that alone or with you or with
you
E-Rock
recorded
or?
that with Neil and E-Rock, and then
Oh, okay,
recorded
okay.
it together for my album like shortly after that.
We did.
Yeah.
Did we ever put it on that, or was that just
Yeah,
like,
it was on the album.
huh? What do you know?
There were
Oh, no
three
wonder
so
you remember it.
there were three of those, so two written by you and one written by E-Rock from the Hamdingers era that ended up on my album.
Oh, wow. I
We
forgot.
recorded
I
them
forgot
all like
about
with
that.
you and E-Rock on guitars and me on drums. And then, although I think that one might have been Dave on drums, but we recorded two with me on drums and you guys on guitars. And then I went back and did like the bass and the overdubs after. And then, but we recorded it simultaneously into your 4-track and into my 8-track. So we had the same rhythm tracks so that you guys could do with it what you wanted. And I did with it what I
Oh,
wanted. And
right.
then
Yeah.
I did like, I think I did bass on both versions, but then you guys did vocals on one, I did vocals on the other. So it was kind of like a,
Right. Yes. Okay. Now I remember. Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that. It's interesting though how like you said, I mean, I didn't own this album or hear this song, but it's interesting how just him being in bands that I liked. I mean, obviously I'd heard Ian Gillan band and just other music from that era, like this style of music and how it just kind of seeps into your subconscious,
oh, totally. Yeah.
That's really interesting. But yeah, now that you tell the whole story about that, I forgot that you had taken one of the songs that I wrote and we like divvied it up and you used it. And
Yeah, we both did it. Like we both took the same backing tracks and did it. So it's kind of cool. Fielding Fowler in the chat says it has an identical melody. Uh, uh, invite identical melody title Willie by Sweet.
is it Little Willie?
Maybe Little Willie. It says Tittle Willie. Should have known from Fielding.
Tittle Willie.
Tittle Willie. He's always preoccupied. Always trying to get us to say tit wherever he can.
Or like Sugar Tits.
Yes, Rich has mentioned the pinball counting segment from Sesame Street is legendary. So yeah, if you didn't grow up with Sesame, yeah, we had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It kind of reminds me of that. It's just like counting and but the most badass possible way.
There we go. Little Willie. See, I do it.
Little Willie, there you go. Little Willie. I'll have to check that one out later. So maybe it's just a common motif that you picked up on, I guess. But all right. So the next one I wanted to this is something we'd be revisiting as we did a full episode on this already. And if you recognize these wonderful singing ladies, these are the German opera singers from John Lord's Windows. And of course, Ray Fenwick was the guitar player on Windows, along with Coverdale and York and Hughes and all those guys. So here's a couple of segments from this that I think really highlight Ray's playing during this performance.
That guy.
That guy's Abernard Schroeder's hair. Tony Ashton, John Lord side by side. Ray even mentioned his yellow suit when he was on the show. There he is, right beside Hughes. Tony Ashton with his golfing hat on.
They had great style back then.
Tony Ashton's like fighting with his organ. This was a really fun episode. Tony Ashton is hamming it up to a level I don't think I've ever seen before. Tasty Blue is playing. Okay, so then it goes into a drum thing, but then there's this other segment here that I think is definitely worth. Going to go into a big extended John Lord solo, but here's another really cool segment from Ray. The ladies go crazy, then Ray always follows them. Yeah, this is cool. Good night to Jonathan. The Swedish vampire is going to sleep.
That's early.
It's early for him. Yeah. What is it? It's only like 3 a.m.
Yeah, what the hell?
Well, you kept him up late the other night, so.
No, not just me.
You and other podcasting hooligans from other shows.
Good night, guys.
Now that's whistle voice right there. Truly bizarre musical experience, but one of a kind.
It'd be funny if Hughes started whooping it up in the background.
You see, it's like sounds of the high-pitched noise, like the dogs start joining in. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I mean, where else would you hear that kind of singing with funk guitar? I wonder if Glenn Hughes is just like, I am fucking freaking out right now. What is going on? Coverdale sitting right behind Ray there.
Where is he? Oh, I see him.
And then you got the German poet come in after that. But kind of a very cool experience. And then when Ray passed away, actually Simon over at Darker Than Blue posted actually on our interview with Ray. He posted a link to that, which was really cool. And then he posted this picture, which he said was taken backstage at Windows with Ray and Ritchie. So I guess Ritchie was in the audience. It looks like, I can't tell, is it maybe it's just, I don't know, they must be in a bathroom. Oh, it's like a dressing room, I guess, because there's like a sink behind them. But he's not wearing that yellow suit, he's wearing a white suit. So I don't know if he had a costume change or if maybe it's like colorized and they just got the colors wrong. It's hard to tell. But he said this was from backstage at Windows. It definitely, the lapel width is right on the money. So I just don't know if maybe it's a different suit. Of course, it was the 70s. That was probably standard issue lapel width at that point. But
yeah, I mean, if you walked into a room and your lapels weren't at least like, half a foot long, get out.
They'd measure you at the door. They'd be like, "No, sorry, buddy, get out of here."
No, here we have a loaner coat with huge ass lapels.
You can't come in here with that, buddy. Here, take this.
You can't come in here looking like a normal human being. One of my favorite things, I don't know if you remember, E-Rock talked about threatening somebody once, and he was just like, yeah, I'm gonna grab them by the lapels and then like scream in their face or something like that. And just the visual of somebody grabbing somebody else by the lapels and shaking them always made me laugh. Like
classic move.
He's just like, you son of a. Boy, lapels back then would be very easy to grab. So,
um, uh, Steven in the chat says that picture is so rare, and I had never seen it before for sure. I don't know what it's from or who had it, but Simon obviously had it lying around somewhere and posted it. So I was really happy to see that, and just seeing the two of them together. I knew they obviously be aware of one another, but I don't know if anything they ever played on together. So that was kind
yeah,
of
it only
cool.
started making the rounds this week, right? That picture, or like the end of last week.
According to me, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who have seen it, but it's pretty rare. It's always funny to me when people are like, "Look at this super rare picture of the Beatles." I'm like, first of all, I don't think there's such thing as a rare picture of the Beatles. But but then it's like you're posting it on Twitter, so it's like now it is infinitely copyable, so it's by definition not rare. However, every so often a picture, you see a lot of the same, especially in these groups, like, oh, look at this guy, and it's like, yeah, we've seen it a million times. It's like, oh wow, a picture of Mark II, never seen that before. But this one truly is like I've never seen it before, so it might have just, that might be the first time it was ever digitized and put online, for all I know. So next up, we have, before we get to our patron break here, song that I mean, I would be remiss if we didn't play anything from this. So of course we've got to get this one in there, and that is of course the song "Fly Away" from the Butterfly Ball. And I wanted to play this one because I think it really highlights Ray's guitar. That kind of like watery sounding reverb on the guitar. It's just a really cool sound on this. It sounds almost, I don't know if he's using any slide in there, but it's just very bendy and sliding into notes nicely. Gotta get out the salty licorice.
Of course.
So not the song on Butterfly Ball that always stuck out the most to me, but I also know Ray picked it for his retrospective there, so I know it must have meant something very special to him.
No, this isn't Yvonne Elliman. Is
no,
it?
It's Liza Strike.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, Yvonne Elliman's not on this.
No.
Right?
No.
Okay, no, I didn't. It does sound a lot like her though. Like her same style of.
I think it would be yeah, it's too bad she wasn't involved in this. Yeah, Liza Strike, who was one of those backing singers who was on a million different things. So all right, Fielding is out for dinner, but he's gonna catch the rest when it comes out, and he's learned that he needs to buy more Fenwick stuff, and I agree. And why not start with this? I'm like doing a commercial. 3 CD retrospective. I thought Playing Through the Changes too. It's pretty good name for a compilation album there. All right, so before we move on to some more Ray Fenwick goodness, we have to, of course, take this time to thank our core level patrons. Coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier, we have Michael Vader. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, Anton Glaving, Mike Catan, and Richard Fusey. At the $6.65 almost evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 nice price tier, Fielding Fowler, who just left the chat, Robert Smith, Peter from Illinois, Michael Bagford, and Carl Helberg. Coming in at the $5 money lender tier, we have John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Elman, Alexi the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Will Porter, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, Tim Southern Cross Johnson, and Michael Boyette. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. Whew. One of these days we're gonna have to limit how many. There's gonna have to be like $1 threshold or something before you can get a shout out on the show, because we always started out shouting out everybody. But what if we have like 500 patrons?
At that point, too bad. You're gonna have to read it in the show notes, unless you take a deep breath, or we divide it up between the two of us, or something.
We have a lot of patrons, a lot of great people that support the show. Really, really appreciate it. All right, so the next track up, we did, of course, Butterfly Ball. And of course, we're going to have to do something from Wizards Convention as well. This is a writing collaboration between Ray Fenwick and David Coverdale, one of your favorites, Money to Burn. And just thinking about, we talked about it a million times, but the difference in style and production, recording, songwriting, everything from between 5 years prior to this and when this came out, it's night and day.
I love this song.
And how do you not love that Mo Foster bass line? Rich said,
remember when I first heard this, and I was
my best rare picture.
I remember when I first heard this, it was just like discovering like that lost, Coverdale song.
Mm-hmm.
Even better when it was just like, when I realized, oh, this is good.
I mean, coming on to all this stuff 25, 30 years ago and feeling like, oh my God, I found a new thing. And it's like, we're still doing it. Like, there's still stuff that comes out where you're just like, oh my God, another thing from that so-and-so did it back in the day that we never heard, Like, even recently I had 3 of the 4 Ray Fenwick, Eddie Hardin, Spencer Davis Group albums. A few years ago, there was like an unreleased album. They did an album that they never released, and that got released. It's like, wow, so I have like a 4th one now. It's like crazy. This stuff just keeps popping up out there. I feel like it's easy to focus on the bass and on Coverdale, but listening to what Ray's doing is really interesting in the song. Jasur. Yes, you're. That's actually Behind the Smile. He's referencing Behind the Smile from Butterfly Ball.
That's another good one.
The Coverdale song from Butterfly Ball, which is also really good. When they have the weird woman spinning and changing masks and stuff. It's very bizarre. Oh, he just asked if that was Behind the Smile. Yep. But same sort of funky vibe Coverdale song. I love the Coverdale.
Yeah, I love funky Coverdale.
The ad-libbing stuff at the end of this. Oh, sugar and spice. Give me something nice. And Hughesy has a similar sort of outro in his songs on Wizards Convention where he's like, to lose, yeah. And he's got that same sort of like reverb on his voice too. Like a flangey sort of effect on his voice. Burn, burn, burn. I love that on the outro.
I have just do that on any song and I'll love it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong. Oh man, such good stuff. Just a sampling of so many amazing things that he's done, and when he came out with this, it really opened my eyes to a lot of other stuff that I really wasn't familiar with at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's stuff I still haven't really dove too deep into, but this next track I have definitely had a deep dive into for many years, as it's something that we all know very well, and that is the title track from Clear Air Turbulence, which is also called Clear Air Turbulence. You can hear the spaceship approaching now. Oh, Duncan, you're not a lightweight for cashing out now. I wouldn't be on the stream. I'd be if I was like midnight. I would have been asleep. I'd be like, I'll catch the episode when it comes out. Oh man, yeah. So we covered this 120 episodes ago or something, but this one never gets old for me. And that's such a great, I don't even know if you call it riff because it's not really repeating. But the real highlight of this one for me, and the reason I would want to include it, is because of Ray's guitar solo, which is extremely long, but very good. And I think we might have asked him about that too, didn't we, when he was on? And I think he was just kind of like, Ian Gillan was like, very much like, whatever you guys want to do, just musically, just do. I don't care. He like gave them a ton of freedom, and that's why you got like a 2+ minute guitar solo on the opening track of this album. The growly Gillan voice is always good too. That was a Captain Beyond style change too.
Good point. Good call.
It's another one that could be multiple songs. Some tinkling electric piano. I don't know if it's a Fender Rhodes or... Oh, Rich was saying do a scroll across the bottom of the screen for the patrons. That sounds like too much post-production work for me.
Well, plus you can't hear it.
Well, you said it would work for you, only for the video, but...
Yeah, of course.
I have barely enough video chops to be able to put out the YouTube episode every week, so I would need some help. So the solo starts right here. Very jazzy.
I always thought this was a great solo.
Saul is saying this could be his best album, and I would definitely agree. Except with the could be. I think it's his best album. Oh, Raph said he couldn't figure out the words in the chorus.
Mhm.
I talked about it in our episode that when I used to listen to this album and while I was vacuuming a church, I always used to sing "Get into Duluth," meaning Duluth, Minnesota, in the
Mhm.
United States, knowing that I was wrong, and it's being like, well, that's stupid, but that's what I think he says, so I'm going to sing along. And for years, I sung along to it, and then when the internet came out, I Googled it and looked it up. It was probably pre-Google, or maybe it was more recent. I don't know. But I looked it up, and the words are "Get into Duluth." So what do you know of that? Weird lyrics.
It's like how the horn section just kind of sways in there a little bit toward the end of the solo.
Such a good use of horns on the song.
It's a good use of everything. These are monster musicians.
So good. So we're at the 2-minute mark in his solo right now. There you go. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Woo! Great. It's kind of it doesn't necessarily sound like his style, but it's Bolin-esque in its approach.
Interesting.
I love how they just go right back into this with like a renewed energy too. Probably because John Gustafson needed a break. So fast. I've never tried to even figure out how to play this. I should do that. Michael Bagford says Ian works for the Minnesota Travel Advisory Board. Get into Duluth. I like that. I love it. He brings in that cowbell here. It's such a fierce reprise of this section.
My best Striper album cover.
It does look like a Striper album cover. To hell with this spaceship.
To hell with the clear air turbulence. Speaking of Striper, I don't know if you follow anything they do, but I guess that not to get off on a tangent, but I think it's funny is Michael Sweet is part of a kind of a super group now.
Yeah, I saw that with who is it?
Who is it? What's his name? He's in
I saw it the other day, and I can't think of who it was.
Like
And I thought
I think it's Marco Mendoza. Like
Yep.
It's Tommy Aldridge. Who's the other guitar player? He looks like Doug Aldridge, but he's not. It's going to be bothering me, but it doesn't matter. The point is that he's one of the
Joel
guitar
Hoekstra.
players. There we go, Joel
Yep,
Hoekstra.
yep.
Yeah,
I knew it was somebody
And
else
so-
purple related.
right. So
tangentially.
it's two of them are like the guitar players. He's not a vocalist on this, and so I was like, oh, he's in a new video. So I figured I'd check it out because he's always this proponent of making new music, and he's
Yep.
he's actually really good. So I'm watching the video, and like they're showing shots of him. Like, is he wearing like an eye patch? Like he's wearing like this. Michael Sweet's wearing like a pirate eye patch,
Really?
and so I'm just like, what's up with this look? So I go to like his social media, and I'm looking. I guess he like recently had like a cataract or some kind of eye surgery, and he needs to keep it covered up. So
Oh wow.
basically he's wearing like an eye patch. And
That's a
I just
badass
like
look. I mean, why not?
but I mean at first just like knowing, I don't know, what I mean? It was like, okay, Striper is all about the yellow and black, and then just out of the blue, not knowing any backstory, he just shows up like just wearing a friggin' eye patch, and I'm like, all right, what is this now? And then I'm like, oh, it was a medical procedure, and he's trying not to, like,
Yeah,
be
that makes
blind.
But you could just as easily believe that somebody's like, oh, this is my new look. I'm wearing an eye
But
patch now.
that's weird. He's like, I used to love Jesus, but now I love the pirates. Arr.
You can't love both.
It's like,
I guess
I
pirates are
worship
not very.
I worship Blackbeard. Arr. I don't know.
Oh man. So we could leave it at just one Gillan band song, but I thought it would be interesting to. This is a
But
song
not you.
on the show, and this is a lower res version of that song, but it's Ian Gillan band doing a live promo video. So it's the album version of the song Scarabus.
Mm.
So I thought it'd be good to see the whole band actually in live action here. The audio quality is not great, but it's a promo from 1977. See Ray strutting around the stage in his vest. Johnny Gustafson, Mark Nossif. Colin's there somewhere. Look at that stance Ray has. He ducked down real low. He's like a praying mantis. Gillan is like, it's easier to lip sync when your hair is covering your mouth. It's great. They're really committing to it because, like, it looks like they're really playing live. Gillan's wearing a shirt that says Jamaica on it.
What a card.
He's always been the same. He's just like, well, if I got a cool t-shirt that has nothing to do with anything, I'm gonna wear it. I don't care. Michael Bagford saying the intro of this reminds him of late 70s Genesis. There you go.
I don't know if I've ever heard any.
Any late 70s Genesis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've only heard like the I've heard like the Peter Gabriel stuff, and then which I think he left in what, 74, 75 or something. Then I've heard the 80s stuff ad nauseum on the radio. But yeah, there's probably when Phil Collins took over in the band, like originally, I don't think I really am too familiar with that stuff. I'm not even that familiar with the other stuff. There he goes. Did he hit the flexitone with like a drum? How did he do that? I mean, this guy has more things. I mean, his kit is almost like Neil Peart level. Everyone's chiming in to let but we're getting the chat late, so we're seeing the answers to all the questions we had earlier about who was in that Michael Sweet band. I wonder if he got that. I wonder if Bob Marley gave him that shirt, because we know Bob Marley and Ian Gillan used to play pool when they were in the Ian Gillan band. So maybe he got it for him as a souvenir. See, that's the kind of things I would ask Ian Gillan if he came on the show. He'd come on and be like, "Oh, these bozos want to interview me. They're probably gonna ask me how we wrote Smoke on the Water." And I'd be like, "First question: what was it like playing pool with Bob Marley? And did he give you that Jamaica shirt?" I'll be like, "Oh, I thought they were gonna ask me boring questions, but they're asking me questions I have no idea what they're talking about."
Or we could like alternate. You could ask the really obscure questions, and I could just be like, "So, how long did it take you to grow
That was
out?
a cool song.
How long did it take you to grow out your hair?" And he'll be like, "All right, this guy's an idiot." What was it like back in the early days, sharing a pair of pants with Roger Glover?
that would be a great question. I would like to ask that one too. Ray is probably hoping they're not looking at him because he's not really miming that. Like Ian's like, oh, that was pretty good.
Ray always dressed really cool too. And he had that like kind of like proto 70s like afro thing going on.
He's scraping his pick on the string. Look at those hairy arms. Ian Gillan mentions in his autobiography, he talks about Ray Fenwick and how hairy he was, and he tells a story which I think I had it on my list to ask him about in the interview, but I was just like, it might be weird. But there's a story about he like pulled down his pants and sat in some guy's like hors d'oeuvres. And like the guy in the rest in like a hotel was being a dick to them, so he like went over and he pulled his pants down and sat in on his hors d'oeuvres. And then he said that the guy, maybe we talked about this in the episode, the guy was smoking a cigar, so he put it out on Ray's ass, and he was like, he had to like go get ice for his ass because it got burned by a cigar. Antics. Because I remember Ian saying, I wish I had the page marked, but he says something about I could probably find it on Google Books. He says something about like Ray Fenwick is a unnaturally like hairy man. I'm gonna look it up while we look at our next thing here. It'll take me a minute to find it. All right, so next up, got a few left here. This is one I think I had found pre us doing the show. I had stumbled upon it. It's not even on YouTube, but it was on Vimeo. And it's a so this song, and I had brought it up to Ray when we interviewed him because I said, hey, this song is awesome. The song's called Queen of the Night, and it's Ray. It's just billed as Ray Fenwick by himself. And I found this video, and it was so cool. And I remember, I think I sent it to you on like Instagram or whatever, however we were communicating, and showed you. I was like, check this thing I just stumbled upon, and we thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, this is he. And when I told him that, he was like, oh, we're doing it for my box set, and he did release a nice remastered version of the box set. So this isn't going to sound quite as good, but you're going to get these great visuals of this video. And this is Ray Fenwick, Queen of the Night.
I like the guys dancing up there on the balcony.
They're having a good time.
For the queen of the night, down every back street where all the girls meet. Queen of the night with a switchblade knife. Down every back street where all the
70s
girls
disco
meet.
chicks.
Queen of the night with a switchblade knife.
Hey, it's a couple of solo tracks that you played already are just prove that he's got great chops, like great songwriting skills, like can really lay down like a really catchy groove.
That's one thing. If you had to make a criticism about Ian Gillan band, is that they didn't really. They had 3 lead singers in that band. You know, like Johnny Gustafsson was an incredible singer, and so is Ray.
Yeah, but I mean,
the camera.
You're Ian Gillan in the Ian Gillan band. Who the hell else are you gonna let sing? No one. That's
of course. I mean, I'm not even talking about lead vocals, but you'd think that they would have done more with like backing vocals or something.
Well, that's true. Maybe like 3-part harmonies, or let him take a verse like Coverdale Hughes style. Would have been interesting.
There was that one Ian Gillan band song where he trades off with Johnny Gustafsson, but
he's getting molested by this chick over here while he's trying to perform.
He's like, I'm trying to do my solo Queen of the Night. Give me some space here.
He's like, come on, sugar daddy.
He looked annoyed. She just like poked him in the face. He's like, ah.
the girls meet, queen of the night.
Dancing in front of him like, pay attention to me.
When are you gonna stop recording this video? Who's that dude? Where's security? Because maybe he just had that guy as a backing singer. I don't know. Just like punching at the camera. I don't know what you call that dance, but
Gyrating.
looked like she was like fencing at some point, like just pretending to use a sword.
Undulating.
Undulating. All right. Just got a couple tracks left. This next track, so this is a band he was in called Force Field with Cozy Powell on drums, Graham Bonnet on. So it's kind of like a almost parts of Rainbow. Don Airey played with them sometimes. So yeah, you had like 3/5 of Rainbow in this band at any point. I don't think Don Airey's on this track though. And this is the band Force Field, I think, like I just said. And the track is called, if I can find it here. Maybe I have it. Oh, it's probably over here. This track is called, this is again off of his compilation here. It's called Hit and Run. This is their album, 89, I think.
Very 80s.
This is their third album, Force Field 3, To Oz and Back. I'm late on the chat, but Matthew Roulette said the intro to Scarabus reminded him of Rush's Fly By Night. I totally hear that. When Rich is asking why they burnt the islands down. The island of Jamaica, maybe. Graham Bonnet with that powerful vocals there.
Yeah, good Graham Bonnet vocals. I mean, you know that I don't really mind the 80s sound, but I don't know if I'm really digging this. I feel like it sounds a little too slick.
Yeah, I mean, it's of its time. I think all the Force Field stuff that I've heard, I mean, pretty limited, but it's very, very. There's no question about listening to what decade it was produced in. Yeah, Michael.
But if you said like Cozy Powell, Graham Bonnet are on this, it'd be like, why? Like this could be a drum machine for all I know.
Yeah. Michael Backer saying, of course, it sounds like a montage in an 80s sports film. Classic montage sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the Force Field stuff I found, there's a couple of instrumentals that really kind of showcase Ray's playing even a little bit more. Very, very slick though. Almost, I mean, not saying this to be funny or anything, but it sounds like smooth jazz, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray did do some stuff like that with that sort of production with those kinds of solos. Yep, that's right. Saul, that is Bonnet playing or singing. The haunting vocal only outro or ending.
Ooh.
Well, I think we should do something a little different to end this. What I'd like to do is thank the foundation level patrons. First of all, give them a good thank you, and then close it with this one thing that I think would really kind of showcase Ray, especially in a Deep Purple perspective, and that is this beginning guitar solo that he has in Eddie Hardin's "Wind of the Willows" live. But before we do that, thank our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, we've got Rafcaf, who just left for dinner. At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Ian DeRosier. Wait, did I say Peter Gardeau? Peter Gardeau, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord, Flight of the Rat Bat Blue Light, Ivan Fjeldbu.
It's a great life if you know we can. It's a
Runar Simonson.
It's a great life if you know we can. It's a
And then, of course, JJ Stenard. Coming in at the $1 made-up name tier, we have the dearly departed Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, Concerto 1999 Phonetic, Spike the Rocket Cat, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashton Lionel, Spike's Mom, and Blackmore's Tights. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. And we will close it out with this performance. She said, this is Eddie Hardin's Wind in the Willows. So it's kind of it's a children's story tale. Done on stage. It's a live performance by many great musicians. And it has a few, like, it's similar to the Butterfly Ball in that you've got a guy reading from the actual book, then they do these musical segments and they go back. So some of it's a little weird, some of it's a little hokey, but John Lord and Don Airey were on stage with Ray during this, with a bunch of other. Graham Bonnet was there as well, Tony Ashton, Eddie Hardin, obviously. But yeah, so let's watch the beginning part of this, like the first few minutes, where he really opens it up. And when I saw this a few years ago, I thought it was just really cool. It really seemed like it really featured Ray early on, and I think it'd be a good thing to close on because of the nature of the music and the folks that are involved. So here we go. Let's close it out with the opening to Wind in the Willows. So the opening here is a full moon, some clouds in the sky. A lot of shrubbery on the stage. Right.
Oof, look at that windswept dew that John Lord's got going
John
on.
Lord just got a blowout.
It's special for the show.
Some serious firepower with John Lord and Don Airey backing up Eddie Hardin, who's already a monster organ player in his own right. think that's Zach Starkey on drums. And Pete York as well.
Oh, good night, Stephen.
Pete York with that stash. He looks like any of the 50 to 60 somethings around in the Chicago area here. There's Johnny.
I love when he went for that Jesse Ventura and the Predator look.
He does look like Jesse Ventura.
John the Body Lord. Governor of the Hammond. That was great.
All right. Well, with that, folks, I'll bid you adieu. Remembering Ray, and go listen to some great Ray Fenwick music this week, and celebrate this amazing career and this amazing guitar player, like we just did.
Amen.
All right. See you next week, buddy.
All right.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.